Good evening. This is for the Milestone 4 deliverable. I'm going to start off by showing the Docker processes on the Docker hosts. We're going to go over, I'm SSH'd into all of my VMs right now. We're going to go ahead and do a Docker PS. I'm going to do Docker PS, all for the fun of it. You can see all the times I ran hello world. So we've got one running ghost container right now. We're going to go over to Nginx and show the statuses. I typed that in wrong. Yes, I forgot service. You can see that that's running and then all the processes are going. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to access the blog from the Docker. 10.10/blog. You can see the Ghost publishing platform is up and running from the Docker. And then how this works is Nginx basically decides what server should process the request. So it acts as a reverse proxy that takes a client request. So whenever I try to access this site, and then it passes it back to the Docker server, and then in turn the server responds to the client and then sends me here. So I need to show all the VMs real quick. So this is the Nginx VM that's running, and I have the Docker VM that's running, and then the Ubuntu that's I'm not logged into. It's also running. Oops. There we go. And then to show the updated network diagram, we've got it right here. We have the Ubuntu LAMP stack, the Docker host, the Nginx, all connected to the router, and then I'm connected to the router from the host. Right, now I actually did get the PHP test page working. I'm not sure how I broke it in the first place, but I did. And there we can see the PHP test page that's running off the Ubuntu server. And now I'm going to access the actual blog page. It should be this, yep. So here's my Ubuntu LAMP WordPress site. And I need to demonstrate creating a post. So we're going to go down here to site admin. And we could actually just go up here and go new. Oops, did not mean to click on, oh, it worked, all right. So we're going to call this Milestone 5.4 deliverable. Put a little, just, this is my Milestone 4 deliverable. We're going to go ahead and publish that. And we can go view it. And we'll leave a comment. Nice Milestone 4, no did it again, 4 deliverable. Post comment, and there's our comment. Now let's go over to my WordPress security document here. So I'm going to go ahead and explain what I learned about it, because I knew basically nothing about it before this assignment. I knew about hardening systems, but I didn't know exactly how in depth you had to go, and I barely went in depth on it to harden like a WordPress site. So for the Milestone 3, I use the defense in depth tactics, which I actually have used in the past, it's not in cybersecurity. And I used the WordPress hardening site that was given to us in order to restrict access to files and directories, to secure the config.php, and to update the firewalls and make it harder to access and bypass the WordPress site. So I used defense in depth to put multiple layers of security throughout the system in order to prevent vulnerabilities from being exploited. Most of the tactics I found on the WordPress hardening support page. I did find a few on YouTube because I got interested in watching those videos, but it wasn't anything too weird. So I was able to secure the main directories and files by modifying their read-write permissions and then preventing the access of any files that I would not want available to the general public. This was done by using basic authentication and adding an htaccess file that prevented any PHP execution from happening inside the directory. So here we have a before and after of just all the files listed. This is the command I used to change the directory permissions. Obviously, instead of directory right here and file right here, you put the actual directory and file that you want to change permissions on. So I did it on WordPress content, WordPress includes, and WordPress admin. And after I had ran the command on each one, I no longer had permission to access it. For securing WordPress config.php, I moved it up one directory above its original install space. So it was installed to HTML, I believe, and now it's sitting in www. And then I went into the nano htaccess and I pasted this right here. And it's supposed to deny access to anyone that's trying to surf through it. So for instance, here I removed it so I could play around in my FileZilla so I could actually see the file and see if I could access it. But if I leave that in there, wp config php won't show up at all right here. But instead, even though it's probably not as safe, I left it open, and then you can see that I still have no permission up here to access it at all, and I can't file transfer it. And then for the firewall, really easy, just went to the WordPress site, installed a plugin named Shield Security. It was pretty cool actually. You could see like all logins and like your blocks, and if you're getting botted or anything like that. And I changed the firewall settings, all of them, to the most secure, so I could block all possible malicious data or attacks. I actually went with the aggressively blocked data, which basically puts a really aggressive set of rules to detect and block malicious data submitted to your site. To validate all of my work here, I tried to do exactly what I was stopping people from doing as well. So I already went over how I access the sites, and then I try to use FileZilla to FTP in and try to access any of the files. And then trying to access the WordPress site with like a suspicious email and password, and you're just immediately blocked from that. So that is my Milestone 4 deliverable. Hopefully everything's good with that. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.